My name is Cindy, and I wrote this cute little book. I'm the author of this book called No Wheat Grinder Wheat Recipes. And in this book, there are a ton of recipes on how to use wheat without using a wheat grinder. So many of my friends have wheat in their house, wheat for food storage, but they don't have a wheat grinder and they don't know how to use it otherwise. And I'm here to demonstrate to you that you can create an entire meal, side dishes, main dishes, and desserts using whole grain wheat, but no flour in each one of those dishes. So I'm going to start by showing you how to make meatballs. And I'm going to start with a pound of hamburger, and you can make about 50 to 60 1-inch size meatballs out of 1 pound of ground beef using wheat as an additive to your hamburger. So in order to show you how to do that, I need to show you how to make the wheat itself. And it's basically just boiled wheat. This is what the wheat looks like in its raw form. And some people call it wheat kernel, others call it wheat berries, but it's the whole wheat. And I have a mixture here of red wheat and white wheat. It really doesn't matter what kind of wheat that you use. There's spring wheat, there's winter wheat. I like to use a mixture. 1 part red wheat and 4 parts of white wheat is my favorite mixture. White wheat tends to make a more fluffy outcome when you're baking things, and so that's my preferred wheat. So in order to make the boiled wheat, you just take 1 part wheat, and I have 1 cup of wheat here. Pour it in a pan, and then take 3 parts of water. So here's 3 cups of water, and you pour it in your pan. Bring your pan to a boil and let the wheat roll and boil for about 15 minutes. And then when the 15 minutes is up, turn the burner off, put the lid on, and leave it overnight. You can leave it for 2 hours and still use the wheat after 2 hours, but it's best to use it after it has set overnight. And then in the morning, drain off the water, and what you have left are the wheat berries that look like this. And these are nice, big, plump, golden wheat berries. And you can see that some of them have popped open a little bit. And that's kind of what you want. You want several of them popped open. And it'll swell and get to about 4 times its normal size after it is boiled. If you find that there are no wheat berries that have opened, you might want to consider boiling it for another 10 minutes and letting it sit another hour or 2, meaning that it didn't quite get boiled enough and it wasn't hot enough to absorb all the moisture. So this is what we're going to start with. We'll just move that out of the way so that we can get busy here. Okay, so here's your meatball recipe. Take 3 cups of the boiled wheat and put it in your blender. And add an egg. Put the lid on and blenderize. It's going to get noisy. See that not all of the wheat berries were able to get blenderized. So a couple of times during the blending process, I'll take the lid off and scrape down the sides. Just kind of scrape it back into the bottom. Try it again. I'm noticing it's really, really thick. So what I do then is I put in about a tablespoon or two of water. That should do it. Again, I'm going to scrape down the sides. Now this does not need to be super smooth, but it does need to be ground up. One more time and that should do it. Okay, it is ground up and you can see that there's no whole kernels left, but that it's coarsely ground. If you look inside, there will be probably a third of the kernels that are not chopped up, and that's okay. This is still a little thick. I'm going to add a little bit more water and try it again. Another tablespoon. Okay, that's better. You can see it looks like really thick oatmeal. So that's about what we want right there. Okay. I'm just get a great big bowl, and we'll pour all of this, scrape it out as best you can, into this bowl. Then add your pound of ground beef. And here's some spices. There's about 2 tablespoons of dried onion flakes, a quarter of a cup of breadcrumbs, seasoned breadcrumbs I use, but you can use any kind you want, a quarter of a teaspoon of pepper, a half a teaspoon of salt, a quarter of a teaspoon of thyme, and a quarter of a teaspoon of oregano. Oh, and I think I put a dash of garlic powder in there too. So shake that all around. Now you get to use your hands. This is really easy, just mix it all up. Squish it, mix it. If you don't like the feeling of the squish, use a spoon. But it seems to work much better when you do it by hand. Kind of like when you form hamburger patties for barbecue. This works better with the hand. Doesn't take very long. Okay, and we're ready. And you can see it comes together nicely, and it's quite thick still. It feels like hamburger still. But of course, about half of it is sweet. Now, you get a 9 by 13 baking dish, and you start rolling 1-inch meatballs. So get yourself a little pinch of it, roll it up so it's about like this, and just start putting them in. And when you get to the end where they're all completely filled over the bottom, start stacking them on top. It doesn't hurt to put the meatballs on top of the other meatballs. and I'll just keep doing this, and I'll come back in a few minutes and show you when my pan is done. Okay, we're back. I'm done. I made 45 meatballs. I made them a little bigger, about 1.5 inches. And so look how much there is out of 1 pound of ground beef. A lot. Now what we're going to do is stick them in a 350 oven. And before we do that, we need to add the liquid. In here is 2 cups of water, 3 beef bouillon cubes, and 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. And it's been heated up to dissolve the bouillon cubes, and what you do is you pour this over the meatballs. You may think that's pretty weird, but when the juice is all boiled out, your meatballs are done. It takes about an hour. So we're going to stick it in the oven, cover it with some tin foil, and we'll be back in an hour and I'll show you the meatballs.